The spacing between words impacts on its density as well. It's generally thought that the amount of space between words should be roughly the body width of a lowercase I. When you're creating titles or short lines of text, you can fine-tune the space between the words manually using kerning. When you look at text, you should train yourself to pay attention to the shapes of the characters and the shapes formed by the space around them, their negative space. Think of a block of text as a picture rather than just a lump of text. Each letter is an individual shape, and when these letters are combined into words, the words form new shapes. The words are then combined to make sentences, and the sentences become paragraphs. The combination of the type and the space around it will form a pattern within the paragraph. And the key to good typography is to make sure that the amount of space compared to the amount of solid text is well balanced. Notice in this example the letters E and G are placed together using the impact typeface. The first example is just as typed. In the second example, I thought about the shape between the letters, and as a result, I decided to adjust the baseline shift setting of the G to make its end stroke match up horizontally with the end stroke of the E. In the third example, I used kerning to close the gap between the letters to join the two letters together, and this exaggerates the interlocking shape. Try combining two characters and see if you can create some interesting shapes. Remember that you can use kerning to close or open gaps between letters, baseline shift to move them up and down, and of course font size to make them bigger or smaller. The space where nothing exists also forms shape. In motion graphic design and film, this is referred to as negative space. In print design, it's known as white space. It's important that you consider the shape of the space around the text in your composition as much as the shape of the text itself. Negative space can also lead the viewer's eye to where you want it to go, or trick it into seeing a hidden message. Rubin's vase is the name given to a phenomenon discovered by psychologist Edgar Rubin. Here you can see a picture of a vase. Watch what happens if I fill it with white. You still see the shape of the vase, but if you look carefully, you can also see two faces looking at each other. And if I just pull away the background, that accentuates it even more. And it's hard to see anything but the two faces now that you've seen it. So this is an optical illusion that you can take advantage of when you're doing typographic design. And here's another great example of negative space. The human eye will try to make sense of what it sees. It assesses a shape and decides which is the dominant object, and it disregards the remainder as subordinate background space. The Rubin vase effect is also in evidence here. This is my favourite use of negative space for a company named Egg and Spoon Couriers. The letter E forms the logo, but if you look closely at the negative space, you can see extra messaging revealed in the form of an egg and a spoon. The egg and spoon motif implies that the couriers take extra care with fragile items. I can't help being slightly envious of the designer that came up with this concept. They must have been so excited when the idea struck them. The first time you look at the logo, you see the E, but once you see the egg and spoon, it's difficult to see anything else. It's a fantastic use of typography and negative space.